Hey, it's Eric here from Ecology of Movement. Today we're going to do a little lat rollout to create a bit of space in our back and really improve our overhead function. First, found this roll, learned this roll from Kelly Starrett off the readystate.com. Really worth checking out. Today we're going to use a foam roller. It can be soft or hard. This one's kind of in between. Before we start, we're going to lay on our backs and just do a little check-in of our overhead position or full shoulder flexion. So with your back flat on the floor, knees bent, bring your arms up and over your head, and then very slowly bring them over toward the floor, above your head. And just notice here at any point, does your chest want to lift off the ground? Does your back want to bend a little? Really be honest with yourself. Notice which hand touches the ground first. And when you get there, can you press a little pressure into the floor with your hands and take a deep breath. Fantastic. So we're going to start on the right side. I've got the roller on my upper arm, on my tricep region. I can really just relax my head onto my arm. And I'm going to be just rolling across and back rather than up and down. So I'm folding that muscle over the roller. So yeah, a lot more of a pinching and rolling rather than a pure roll out. So we refer to this as fascial scrubbing. So we're moving the skin over the connective tissue over the muscle. And I'm turning my palm up and down, so getting those different angles. This is where our lat, that muscle from our low back, all the way up into our upper arm, connects. So this is that insertion point of the lat. We're going to bring the roller down a little now into armpit, and this is really where we get into that scrubbing motion. So I'm supporting with my other hand, and I'm just moving back and forth, letting the skin slide over the connective tissue over the muscle. And I can move a little forward into my pec. I can move a little back into my shoulder blade. So looking to just loosen it up. We're not necessarily getting super deep. We're working more superficial. In anatomy trained language, we're working the functional line. And quite often that tightness in lats really restricts our overhead position, really limits our range of motion in our shoulders. Ooh, and I'm finding a few little spots here, so we're going to move down a little bit more. We're really into the meat of the lat here, and this is where I call it the Bruce Lee muscle. In maybe it's Enter the Dragon, he flexes, it looks like he has wings, like a sugar glider. So this is where that lat really makes itself known, and I'm really folding over and back over the muscle, like I'm kneading dough, pressing it, rolling my body over, and rolling it back. Now I'm still able to talk to you and breathe here. So if you notice you're clenching your jaw or holding your breath, ease up a little bit. Take a bit of the pressure off. We don't want to add tension when we roll. We want to be taking that tension away. And wow, I'm really finding a bunch of tightness in here that really needs addressing. And restoring that sliding and gliding quality of the tissues. Ooh, yeah, just went for a 2-hour bouldering session, so doing a lot of work with my lats, pulling myself up, lowering myself down, hanging on for dear life, falling off the wall, all that good stuff. I'm going to move the roller down now, so I'm below shoulder blade, and I'm really into rib cage. And here I'm not adding a huge amount of pressure. I'm kind of using my hand, that left hand a little bit to keep me up, and really just working that scrubbing motion. And it's not purely lat I'm getting here, so I'm getting a little bit of serratus anterior. Ooh. Yeah, a bunch of different connective tissue lines. And let's roll down a little further now. So I'm kind of lower end of my rib cage now, almost where the rib cage becomes side waist. that insertion point of obliques. So I'm scrubbing a little into the back, scrubbing a little bit into the front, working along that rim of my rib cage. And wow, time flies, but we could definitely spend longer here. I'm going to move it down one more time, and I'm properly into low back here. Again, just that little sliding, gliding, moving into the front, moving into the side, moving into the back. And if you're really feeling like you've found a good spot here, hit pause and continue on. I'm going to come off that now and do another little check-in of overhead position. So back is flat on the floor, arms pointing up to the ceiling, thumbs pointing behind me, and I'm going to very slowly bring my arms overhead and notice any difference. So there, my right hand touches the floor significantly before my left. And have a big breath and press in. Fantastic. And then changing sides. I'm just going to flip around for the sake of the camera. And I'm in my upper arm. Head is resting on that upper arm and really into that tricep region as I roll back and forth over the muscle. Continuing to breathe. And really I have to remind myself to do this. This is one of the rolls, one of the least kind of slow and soft rolls that I do on my body. So most of my mobility practice is pretty gooey, pretty down regulating. This is as well, but it sometimes takes a tiny bit of effort to get to. So it looks sometimes a little frantic. So moving down into armpit, and wow, yep, lats are singing to me. So I'm leaning back into shoulder blade a little. I'm getting into my teres minor, a little bit of teres major, some of the other muscles of the shoulder. Leaning forward now, a little bit into pec. Soft face, soft jaw, continuing to breathe. And yeah, wow, plenty going on this side as well. I'm going to move down into the meat of the lat. Oh yeah, that sugar glider, Bruce Lee muscle. He says, be water, my friend. Kind of feels a little bit like a stringy tree root or something in the side of my body at the moment. So glad I'm doing this as well. I'm pinning the muscle, rolling my body over the top of it, looking to separate some of the fibers, create space between those fascial layers and skin, between the fascial layers and muscle. Restore that lovely sliding and gliding quality. So I'm leaning back, again leaning forward, getting a little bit of serratus anterior there as well. And you can play around with arm position if you want to. Lift it over and back. You could even have a little side bend, little lateral bend over the bolster. Linking your breath as you exhale. Didn't do it on the other side, but worthy of getting a bit of lateral flexion into the spine. Let's move down now. Below shoulder blade and into rib cage, and yeah, this side, definitely feeling it a lot more than the other side. So my non-dominant side, I'm rolling here, maybe is having to work a little harder to pull me up on those climbs. And fairly delicate work here as we hit the ribs. Not that nice to have my full body weight on the roller. I'm just continuing that little sliding motion forward and back. Just encouraging a little bit of movement. Lats are also key stabilizer muscles when we lift. So when you're deadlifting, you really want to have good lat engagement. Stabilizing your spine. So this is a nice way. We don't just want to have really strong muscles. We want to have supple muscles that You can use like a dimmer switch. They can be on, they can be off, they can be somewhere in between. You're never going to get that full amount of strength from your muscles if they don't know how to relax. You want to have that balance between tension and relaxation. So I'm down into my lower ribs, that junction between rib cage and belly and side waist. And yes, scrubbing into obliques, freeing up a whole bunch of space. Almost done, got about another 30 seconds to go. Lowering down once more into lower back. Left, right, side and front. And we are done. Come off the bolster, come onto your back. Last little check-in. Back flat on the floor. Thumbs pointing behind you, hands up, and we slowly lower over our head. And just notice any difference. Press. Breathe. Whole lot smoother there for me. I hope it is for you too. Yeah, those little bits of mobility we can do every day. It doesn't have to be a 4-hour yoga session, just these targeted bits that can make huge difference to our lives, to how we sleep, to how we move. Happy practicing at home. Take care.